purpose of this presentation is really to kind of tell you the project and the path we took for SIP version 4 compliance. Being a power company, we've had the SIP standards pushed on us by NERC, and we have to comply with them even though they continue to change. So just a little bit about DTE. We are located in Michigan, southeast Michigan. We have more than 3 million customers throughout Michigan, and we have other parts of the company that we're not really going to talk about today. George and I are both in the Process Controls and Technology group, and we are responsible for the maintenance and security of these process control systems. So what happened? What was our problem? We had SIP version 4 come out. It brought more of our facilities into scope. They're much larger than what was originally under scope in SIP version 3. And we needed to then collect the data, figure out what we had to protect, what we had in there in the first place, and bring a reasonably scoped project with a reasonable timeline to the people that were going to fund this and oversee it. As a company in general, we're security conscious. We have plenty of traditional IT systems in place, firewalls, encryption, all that kind of stuff. However, the burden was placed on us to be SIP compliant with all the reports that have to be generated and the additional security that SIP reporting requires. So what did we do? We contacted the plants that were already SIP compliant, outside vendors, our OEMs, our DCS vendors, security vendors, and we tried to find out what was the best practice. What were other people doing? What had we done as a company beforehand? And how could we improve? We really wanted to understand the differences and also to figure out how we could make things better, make things simpler, reduce the workload on process control engineers, INC specialists, and our reporting group in general. To start with, we just created an asset list, got all the network diagrams together, got everyone in a room, and hashed it out for about a week. It took about a week worth of meetings to get everything collected and everyone to pretty much agree. We then decided to take all that information that we as a company had acquired, gathered, and took it to our DCS vendors and said, what are you guys doing? What do you suggest? This is what we think. And we had a lot of very good conversations, and they helped us, we helped them, and it's been working actually really good. So again, with the vendors, with the other sites. So go ahead, George.
So we talked with different team members from the previous SIP implementations at the other sites to see how that went. We did go and sees at the other SIP sites. Obviously, we talked to the vendors, and we discussed the available options with our vendors, our IT department, and we had played around with each of those options. Our corporate IT department, they wanted us to use their typical standard IT products, some of which we did wind up using, but many of which we did not. They don't necessarily fit the process world, CIA versus AIC mentality and such. The new technologies that are in place at the version 4 facilities, they're much newer than what was in place at the old facilities. So we had a little bit difficult time monitoring them. At some of the old facilities, we wound up using more IT, traditional IT technologies, and it was easy because the technologies weren't as advanced as what we are currently using at the bigger facilities. Also, the size of the facilities was much larger. So when we finally had version 4 pushed on these larger facilities, we had the task of baselining our assets at these facilities. We needed to understand what was out there, and then we needed to understand where we needed to be. So in order to gather all this information, it can be quite intensive. Doing a baseline for a single asset, reasonable amount of time is about 4 hours or more. And even if everything goes correctly, that's a pretty reasonable amount of time. Doing this for over 300 assets, like we have at some of our larger facilities, can be quite intensive and take a credible amount of time. And this is something that we have to do. We have to rationalize our baselines on a yearly basis. So this is something that we sort of have to do yearly as part of our annual vulnerability assessments that we do. So creating a gold standard was the first problem once we had decided on the technologies that we'd use, and gathering the information was the major issue here that we were trying to find a technology to help us with that. So working with both of our vendors of our control system and the eventual security suite that we picked, we hope to enhance the ASMN reports as needed. So also one thing that was good about this system that we chose was the change management aspect. I heard something said in the previous presentation yesterday that sometimes we need to protect protect our systems from ourselves, and change management is one way that we find to do that. And if we can protect our systems from ourselves, we're 50% of the way to being secure. So that's something that was very important to us, and this security suite that we chose allowed us to do that. So, like I said, what we needed was ease of data collection and reporting. A solution that keeps all the data in one place and secure is nice, and will allow us to report on the different SIP standards. So also we needed an ease of a system that was easy to compare the information, so compare to historical information to newly collected information, help us to create these baselines and compare from unit to unit, facility to facility, and such. We also, like I've said and John said, had our vendors to supply us with the support services and software. So lessons that we learned about this were that we need to get everyone involved early to discuss the problems and potential solutions, measure, benchmark, and we need to share the information that we have available. You need to think beyond the traditional defensive strategies, traditional IT solutions and such. Use multiple products and involve multiple groups. And leverage vendor knowledge. That was something that was important for us at this time. And understand the difference between controls and business systems and the security required for each. That was a major hurdle for us, especially to convince our IT-minded folks that we were working in a different world. And also, one thing that we'd like to point out is that security is an ongoing process, not a destination, and as such should always be improving. So, thank you. Any questions? Are we taking questions now?